My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast.
And tonight I'm really glad we've got a teacher on the podcast.
It's Naplan Week.
It is Naplan Week in the Masterchef kitchen, and last night they were testing reading comprehension.
Wasn't it amazing?
It was. Let's see how everyone did.
All right, so I hope your pencils are at the ready. Now remember, pencils only. It's Naplan.
And doesn't it have to be a 2B?
It has to be sharpened, I know that much.
And you have to bring your own eraser.
Yeah, you do. And you have to sit at the specially assigned desks.
Indeed.
Your name will be on them and your name will be on your paper.
What, you don't have to write your own name?
No, they print them out.
What?
Anyway, so this
Are you
week...
going to know the kid doesn't know how to spell their own name if you're writing it on there?
It's reading comprehension, Kristie.
Is this your name?
Okay,
Yes.
so first part of reading comprehension is identifying your own seat. So, look, we've seen some dumb things this year. You can tell where we're at. We're not even pretending.
Don't care.
We've seen some dumb things, absolutely dumb things this season.
Oh, my care factor is it. Fuck it.
Last night's episode possibly takes the cake. Tonight's wasn't bad. Tonight's was
entertaining.
It was entertaining enough. It wasn't.
The judges were so happy they had people they liked in the kitchen.
So look, what we're going to start with is I asked people to give us a rendition of a review of MasterChef as though you're Matt Preston. Because for those who didn't watch, and by the way, I know there's now a lot of you just listening to us, and thank you. We're suffering, so you don't have to. The challenge was a dish was brought in. I can't even remember who the fuck the chef was now. That's how much I've cared.
Another dude.
Yeah, another dude came in because white privilege.
Because there's not enough penis on the show. We don't have enough male chefs on the show. So they had to bring in one last night. Thankfully, he was white. I'm presuming cisgendered, and I'm presuming heterosexual.
Anyway,
so
he brought in his dish.
Good to have the minorities represented.
Had it under the cloche. Had it under the cloche, and then they didn't lift the cloche, and they didn't tell them what the dish was, and they didn't do anything like that.
We're not allowed to taste it.
Instead, Matt Preston said that he had been tempted out of retirement as a writer to write one final review. Now, a couple of things. First of all, as everybody on Twitter pointed out, it wasn't a review.
You know what it was? They have art for the blind where someone creates a poetic description of a painting or some sculpture.
What?
And I think that's exactly what Matt pulled out.
What was the more ridiculous challenge? This or the one last season where they had to yell through the shelves?
Look, the one...
Aram.
Yes.
Aram.
The one through the shelves at least brought us the pearl of awesomeness that was Aram. Aram.
But that was dumb.
Aram.
This was ridiculous.
You had lunch with Aram, didn't you?
He was awesome.
Did you go, hey, Aram?
No,
Aram.
I wasn't that
Passing the salt.
No, I wasn't.
Aram, you want a drink? I'll get you a drink.
No, Aram's actually quite cool. But so that was dumb. This was next level because somebody tweeted, I can't remember who it was, so I apologise in advance. You know who you are though, and I'm giving you credit because you're awesome and I didn't write it. But someone tweeted out they should find out whoever it was on staff who convinced Matt Preston to come out of retirement, and they should be made to apologise to Australia in the ad break.
No, they need to take out a half page in Sun Herald.
Now, Matt Preston, what made this worse was he read it out. Oh. It was a dramatic reading. I was going to do a dramatic reading of it tonight. The internet has buried it, and I mean even Reddit.
Yeah.
It's not on Reddit. Everything's on Reddit. It's not on Reddit.
Wow.
I thought about sitting there and re-watching it to find it verbatim and quickly gave up on that idea.
All the ads on
I was going to
10
then
app.
screenshot it on the 10 app and so I can see the page, and I had 9 ads and went, I'm not going through this. I don't care that much. So what we've done instead is I got everyone to write a review of MasterChef as though they were Matt Preston. So, Kim Spicer. We're going to start with Kim.
Yes.
Kim. The bitter hairless parsnip continues to baffle me with its appearance. It seems to think it's more important than it is. Its loud, obnoxious presence is a blight on the show. And then he wrote under it, I can't do this without wanting to consistently bag George. Josh, who was on the podcast the other night, please have a listen to that episode. It was a great episode.
Yes, and check out his podcast, Great Mates.
Indeed.
GR8M8S.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
This season exhibits a wonderfully moist spectrum of emotions, with casual splodges of sane judgment. Threads of constructed narrative are littered throughout, providing the viewer with a season never seen before, a truly surprising flavour in every bite. Nice backhanded compliments there. Brandon Black. Hashtag let Brandon bake.
He makes scones today.
He's awesome.
But he burnt his finger.
Oh,
He told Hood, he's like,
I know,
how did you
he loves
cook
Huda.
again?
I may have mentioned that. Brandon, double standards and favouritism are rife. There's one set of rules for this person, but a completely different set of rules for other people, often resulting in someone being eliminated that didn't deserve to go home, and someone else staying well beyond their expiry date. To give you an idea, Brendan is close to the nicest person we know. And has never said a crossword about Great British or Great Australian Bake Off ever. That gives you an idea of this show this year. But the winner,
Winner chicken dinner.
Lisa Romano.
Oh my God.
One of the greatest things I've ever read. Masterchef Australia 2018 left me with sanguine sensation of Epicurean competition, punctuated by top notes of Australian professional chefs and their culinary complications, culminating in a cloud of immunity pins and trophies, finished with a sprinkle of financial rewards.
Oh, very nice, Lisa.
I, however, have attempted this as well. Mine's a little bit longer because it can be.
Okay.
The stadium-like atmosphere is punctuated by the aging boy band nature of the three protagonists, longing for their hit. They primp and preen like an early Jagger, yet lacking the magnetism of his personality, but a pale imitation. They're groupies, from a range of backgrounds and abilities, eating up every word of this greatest hits tribute, and putting a modern take on it. Those who can't stomach the tunes feel the wrath, and are quickly shunned like an Amish Twitter user, and forced to live lives on the periphery of civilization, nourishing themselves only through Studio 10, or worse, The Project. For those who survive, fame and contractual obligations await. For those who fall, tributes will be paid, tears will be shed, before the circus moves on, towed away by the soft, puttering engine of a Vespa.
Sorry, I thought it just needed a little sound effect there at the end.
Thank you, I greatly appreciate it. Like, that gives you, you know what, the funniest part about that is that doesn't even do the shit that Matt Preston wrote last night justice. So what we're getting at is, it was a completely fucked up challenge. I felt for all three of them, right? Because from that description, I didn't picture anything remotely close to what was on the plate.
No, the other thing to note, Samira moved to Australia in 2006. Samira's been speaking English daily, probably for that long. Now, English is an interesting language, to say the least, but when you throw in metaphors to explain something concrete and then have to pull that out into real-life items...
Okay, it's Education Corner, folks.
Yes, okay, you take it. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Education Corner.
I'm just here for the felching. Well, to say it and not to actually do it.
Oh, thank you.
Let me please be very clear.
Thank you for being clear on that.
I use the word as hilarity. People have probably heard that, like, oh, Kristie's so into felching. No, I'm into shock value and just throwing that word felching into things, because people who know what it is just... The look on
if
their
you don't know what it
like
is, don't look it up. Just run with it. Be like Matt Preston. Let your mind run wild. So, inference is one of the hardest things to pick up from an educational standpoint. It's a very complex thing, especially if English is not your primary language. And what Matt Preston gave them last night involved a lot of inference. And you saw Jess and Ben struggled with that inference.
Yeah.
And, you know, for them... it's probably a lot easier. Samira, there was not a hope. Not because, she doesn't speak English properly, but because you can speak English perfectly, but most people who speak English perfectly are using about a tenth of it, maybe. Inference through concepts and vague concepts, and what Matt Preston was saying was vagary and bullshit. clouds of... And there were a couple
Is that
of...
speaking as an educator?
It is. There were a couple of bits of terminology he used last night. Again, I can't remember the exact specifics right now, but I remember at the time, I'm like, that's not even the correct use of that word. He was talking about the plumes, for example, and I'm like, not quite what you meant there, Matt.
No.
It's not what you were after. So it was really written in such a highly convoluted way that, first of all, if he submitted that to an editor, they would have gone, do this again. But secondly, for Samira, the inference was not really going to be at that level, and she was really racing against it. And part of the problem last night for Samira was, yes, she made some mistakes with the element she put on the plate.
Like the skill set, like she didn't put the gelatin in.
Skill-wise, there were some issues. The parfait, or was it whatever it was?
Yeah, something.
There were only 7 elements on the plate. Well, 5 if you count Ben's. But there were 7 elements, which is the only part of Matt's whole review that was clear, was 7 elements. So there are 7 elements on that plate. She did make a couple of mistakes with one of them, with 2 of them. But for Samira, part of the problem was how much time was spent at the beginning trying to work out exactly what the hell it all meant.
Yeah.
Before she started, which puts her behind the 8 ball time-wise, which is where you make mistakes when you are rushing to catch it all up. And you are moving. We've seen her before make those elements individually this season, and she's put the gelatin in, and she's done this, and she's done this, and she's done this. She's done all of those elements at some point in this competition, so she does know how to do them.
Yeah.
What I think we saw a little bit of last night was time, and I think that if they'd at least seen the dish, then you can go, okay, it's this, and you can do that. Whereas when you're trying to interpret what Matt Preston is meaning when he says something, that doesn't work.
And the thing, okay, in Bake Off, and I'm going to go to that said, how they extend and show the skills of the bakers, they're not contestants, they're bakers, towards the end of the show, to show that they have the skills and they have the knowledge and they deserve to be called, the great baker, or to have won the Bake Off. Is at the beginning, there's 3 challenges each week. There is the signature, there is the technical, and there is the showstopper. So in the technical, a recipe is given. And at the beginning, and that might be either the theme of the week or a specific skill that needs to be shown. At the beginning, they give you every single step going. Towards the end of it, and Mary Berry has simply given instructions such as make a sponge.
Yep.
Make an anglaise.
Yep.
Make this, make that. There's no step-by-step instruction of how to do it. Earlier in the piece, they're given step-by-step instructions on the sponge.
Yep.
All that stuff. That shows that they've got the skills, that they've got the knowledge, that they've got the time management there. This did none of that. This was a fucking bullshit ego trip for Matt Preston, and to remind us all that he's been a food writer. And quite frankly, I am over the judges this year.
Whoever went out last night had every reason to be pissed off.
Yep.
Right. And that was the thing. Whoever went out last night, and I think it was Siobhan who referred to it as a Mandarin fan fiction. And it really was. It was like a Mandarin fan fiction. It was amazing.
I don't know why you even bothered to get a fucking judge, an actual chef in to create the dish, because it wouldn't have fucking mattered.
You had one of my favourite tweets last night too. Imagine if Matt Preston wrote The Castle.
I know. What's this? What do you call this, Dal? Clouds.
Golden clouds of sponge cake.
This stuff on top. A snow dusting of icing sugar.
Now, and look, last night, Ben was actually all of this. We say a lot that the Khan was all of this. When he went, golden rain clouds of sponge, bloody hell. It's like, just amazing.
What's this poetry bullshit? We're in a cooking fucking show.
And a few people, I think Siobhan was one of them, and a couple of other people pointed out, I don't know what we were more uncomfortable with, Matt Preston reading out that review or the fact that Matt Preston sat down and wrote that review.
He honestly
reminded me... sexualised.
Yeah. He honestly reminded me of Year 10 poetry when you're all supposed to write a poem and someone's taking it a bit too seriously and has gone up to, like, read this love poem they've written that's really, like, fucking unnecessary. And you know who they're talking about as well. And that person in class is, like, dying.
It was so pointless that, like, I was waiting for Mark Humphries to appear and just sort of ask everybody that we polled 100 people. Which MasterChef challenge has the least amount of relevance to the real world? I'm going to go with the challenge where they all read the Matt Preston review. Let's see what the audience said. Pointless! They also, it was weird. The production was weird last night because they couldn't work out what to make the narrative because they had no narrative, because they didn't have a dish that people could... You didn't know if you were making the right thing or the wrong thing. There was, like, when Jess had her problem when her curd split.
Yeah.
And they sold it like it was the greatest disaster in history. And then Jess suddenly fucked up.
It.
And in 2 seconds, she literally went, it's gone, my curd is split, this is over, I'm in deep trouble. She said one other thing, went back and said, I blitzed my curd and it's fine.
Like, so Chloe gave her a pep talk, and she's gone from
And Chloe's pep talk was simply believe in yourself.
Yeah.
It was half a step away from an S Club 7 pep talk.
Jess really is the emoji lady, because, like, she goes from, like, emoji face to emoji face to emoji face so quickly. She wears her heart on her sleeve and in her eyes. And
in Reynolds' case, maybe other places. We'll get to that.
So much thirst. Yes, so I just have no respect for the judges in the MasterChef context.
Well, let's get into
their integrity is just...
Well, let's get into the ending of it, shall we? So what really pissed everybody off after the whole language thing, which is a big issue in itself?
Yep.
Ben didn't plate 2 elements. There were only 7.
Yep.
He didn't plate 2, and his solution was, I'll whip up some cream. You know, that's like it's not as good as Robert's in Bake Off.
So technically, if he didn't get that cream on the thing, does that mean he... Oh, no, because it was the parfait and the
jubes.
The jubes.
Yeah.
So he didn't get those. Okay, sorry. I thought the cream was the third one.
No, he didn't. He mixed up cream to sort of cover where he didn't have a parfait.
Yeah, that's right.
Samira's didn't set.
Yeah.
But she plated them, so she had the element on the plate. And when they tasted them, they went, all the elements taste fine. And the big complaint about them blending seemed to be height. They were like looking at Ben's, and it was weird that the 3 of them. But we'll start with Jess's, because Jess's was perfect. They came out.
As we knew, because
we knew it would be. Like, it didn't look like it, but who cares at this point? I didn't care if it looked like it. Then Samira comes up, and it's flat. And they complained about the fact that the elements didn't fit together because they lacked the height. By the way, the sponge cake was a microwave sponge.
Torn apart.
But it was a microwave sponge. Now, I think it was Austenite pointed out that everyone knows that microwave sponge after about 5 minutes just becomes rubbery and impossible to eat. So it looked amazing. Also, did anyone bother to find out how his sorbet stayed perfect when everyone else was around it was melting?
Gelatin?
Had to be fake.
Oh, the dudes.
Maybe it had to be wooden.
Maybe it was what's it called?
Liquid nitrogen?
Liquid nitrogen.
It still would melt eventually. I don't know. Josh suggested that maybe it was like the Japanese restaurants where you see it's all the rubber food. Maybe. It wouldn't have shocked me.
They sent a special commission to Tokyo.
I like the idea between every set of judging, they made him go out and make a new sorbet. But I didn't care, to be honest with you, if their dishes looked the same or not, because, no. When Samira brought hers in, they said that the elements all tasted good, but they didn't blend. And
there wasn't a balance.
Balanced. And they blamed height, apparently. And then Ben came in. Now, this is...
saying, right? Now, that person didn't run as fast because their shoes were blue. Like...
Well, the other thing I want to point out,
they're both involved.
Were they actually putting it on a scale and therefore the density actually mattered? Or I don't know. But then Ben came in, and I can say this as a white male, and with white male confidence, they removed the cloche and he goes, oh, look at that, it's exactly the same. No, it's not.
There are 2 elements missing.
It's the same, except you're missing a large part, 2/7 of the dish. Now...
Oh, you're right. It really was ultimate male violence.
Apparently, his dish balanced beautifully. My question is, how can a dish that's missing 2 of 7 elements
be balanced
beautifully? Right? Well, I asked for a steak and chips and veg from the kitchen. And look, the steak was missing. But those chips and veg,
beautiful balance there.
Superb. And a couple of people went, you've got to know when to leave an element off the plate. You only have to learn when to leave an element off the plate if it's something that you're making and you don't have to, recreate the dish. Mm-hmm. If you stuff it up, right, surely there should be more of a penalty for not even bothering than putting things that tasted good but didn't look the same on the plate. I thought Samira was robbed, but Ben is Stephen Bradburying this competition.
He's Teflon Ben.
I did suggest last night at one point that when he was struggling and didn't know what to plate up, that he should have just plated a Lamington because he knows they love his Lamington. Now...
And as you say, he looks like a really nice bloke, but in this competition...
But he's Stephen Bradburying it all the way to the end. So let's get on
part of me wonders if there's like some kind of crazy like equivalent of the fanboys out there in Masterchef who will die for cisgendered white male, hetero white male.
I don't think
fucking
so.
Leaves the competition. And
I don't think so. So a couple of people pointed out the other day that no one seems to be getting up in arms about anything said about Ben.
No.
And I like Ben. I genuinely like Ben.
Yeah.
He looks like the sort of guy that if you saw him at a barbecue, you'd stand there and chat to him.
Yep.
Right? If you saw him at drinks, you'd go and have a drink. I don't know if I want him cooking gourmet food in my restaurant, but I would have a drink with him.
To be honest, I think he'd do well working for someone in a
with
restaurant.
a recipe, yes, you're right.
Because he's developed skills quite a lot. And I think when he leaves MasterChef, he'll have the tenacity to stick at stuff and he'll go places.
The last thing quickly on Ben.
Yeah.
Everyone was reading up before they went in last night, and they're all reading like all these different cookbooks and learning to broaden their horizons and broaden their skills. And what was Ben reading?
What was he reading?
A seafood cookbook.
That's right. I'm like, oh, dude.
Ben, look, man, we said we love you, but...
Have a little read of, maybe a dessert cookbook, maybe...
That might work. Dessert cookbook, probably.
Dessert
Look, to be
cookbook,
honest with you, desserts
anything.
are probably the best one to be reading right now.
Yeah.
So out of the fire from last night into a heavenly evening.
I really hope this ends up being the finale.
We're going to say this, and most of Twitter, and not everyone, and I know there'll be somebody tweeting, not me, and good for you.
I like Chloe.
And good
I
for
like
you.
Jess.
And good
I
for
like
you.
Ben. I like Reese. It's fine.
Wonderful. But to be honest with you, for us, I would love to see a Khanh Sashi final. God,
Yes.
that would be fun.
I'd like to see Sashi get his groove back, though.
I think Sashi got... I was talking about this tonight before we recorded, and Khanh last week went through a bit of a dip off the back of that Gary fucking with his head. And you could just see he was sort of scrambling a bit to get his mojo back. And Khanh now seems to be in this, fuck you, I'm just going to do it headspace, which is working really well
For the
for him.
mushrooms.
Yeah, for the mushrooms. He's become mushroom dude. We talked about that last podcast. Khan's like on Twitter, I don't know how I became mushroom dude, but sure.
He's mushroom dude now.
He's mushroom dude.
The way he was
I know.
mushrooms.
I know. He went from never mentioning them to being the most important element in his life. So...
I'm getting emotional about it. It was like he'd given birth
to mushrooms. See a doctor.
Look at that creative.
See a doctor.
I can't believe that such perfection exists on Earth, and I just have such a connection to this dish. I love Khanh.
Oh, he's awesome. I love Khanh. He's amazing. But Khanh lost his mojo a bit after Gary fucked with him, and then since then he's been bounced back and been really good. Sashi went through that period of being everything that he did was amazing. And then it's almost like, and again, I'm not saying anybody in particular, they found new toys to play with and sort of discarded Sashi to one side and have gone to the new toys. And Sashi's still producing amazing food and they're just going, yeah, whatever. And back over here.
I think they do get worried about his fusion concept.
Oh, the bloody fusion. I'm getting sick of it because the guy last night was a fusion cook.
Yes.
Right.
But it's okay for him because he's white and white people can do fusion because they don't have their own ethnicity to stand for. They just have to go and appropriate everyone else's.
So when
Sashi wants to fuse that, they're going, But you're Indian. He's like, I'm from fucking Singapore, dudes.
Whatever. Same part of the world. Southeast Asia. Listen to our last podcast, you'll get that. So with that in mind, like poor Sashi, you can see his confidence has been knocked. And they went out to him tonight a couple of times and did the whole questioning thing. And you could just see that slow resignation behind the eyes of, it doesn't really matter what I do.
They're not going to.
They don't like me at the moment. And it was typified. And look, don't get me wrong, Khanh outcooked him tonight.
Yeah,
absolutely outcooked him and deserved that shot. And we'll come to what happened in that in a minute. But Khanh is absolutely on fire, and we'll talk more about Khanh in a second. But just on Sashi. Sashi...
Oh, is this dish complete?
Yeah.
Do you think it's complete?
So they started on him about...
We're just going to stand here just within earshot, but pretending we're not in earshot, talking about how it really needs a bread.
No, but then Preston went to him.
Bread.
But then Preston went to him and said... And I quote him directly here. He went, there's a lot of sauce. You're making a bread because otherwise we're going to have to eat with our fingers, and we don't like eating with our fingers. Bullshit, and fuck you. Also... Sashi's going, well, I wasn't going to do a bread.
You guys get fucking spoons?
Yeah, we know they do this to tack them on the table. Haven't done that this year.
No.
Thank God I was over it. So they demanded a bread. And Sashi's going, well, I don't have the ingredients to make the bread.
And anyone who's been a desperate student knows that if you go, you know what, I could so make a flatbread and and do something on it. And you've just got water, milk, maybe a bit of butter, maybe a bit of salt. And it don't work.
No.
It don't work.
No, what it does if you're a young poor student is fills you up.
It does.
But it's not tasty.
Carboty, oily horribleness.
But it's not tasty.
No.
It's just filling.
It is.
And it sops up juices and gravy, which is what they were after.
It's a Dolmio carrier,
It really is. It is a Dolmio carrier. It puts in the hard work so you wear the Dolmio grin. But
there's no me grin. Oh, I guess it's my shitty flatbread again.
But poor Sashi, she was like, okay,
I don't have any yogurt.
They want a flatbread. Okay, I'll make a basic flatbread. So he makes this basic flatbread they've been demanding, and then they're basically like, this flatbread shit. Like, why did you put the flatbread on there? You shouldn't have put a flatbread on there. They just spent an hour undermining him and telling him to put a flatbread on the plate. So he did. And then they went, why did you put a flatbread? That's stupid. Who would do that?
And what isn't... Okay, a vegetarian would look at... Okay, a gluten-intolerant vegetarian would look at that dish and go, that's a complete meal. Why do you need this useless carb to sop up this puree? I don't...
It's very... It screams... It screams to me a little bit like, you know, when you make Italian or something like that, and the relative decides to break out the white buttered bread to like sop up the juices of the pasta sauce. So rather than like a garlic or a herb bread or something like that, they just get white buttered bread.
Got the tip top.
Yeah, got the tip top out.
The 2-day-old tip top.
Buttering the tip top, and I'm going to sop up hashtag you ought to be congratulated. And again, if you've never listened to our Bake Off podcast, you don't get that. And they're just sopping up all the pasta sauce with flat white bread, 2-day-old buttered. What is the equivalent of? So let's get on to Khanh, because it's a much happier story for Khanh. His cooking at the moment.
Yeah, still love you, Sashi, but on to Khanh. Yes.
His foraging.
Oh!
Now, what we didn't mention was the first part of this challenge involved go to the garden.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to see somebody Heston Blumenthal this. And use the Vespa. Like, I wanted them to siphon the fuel for a broth.
Serve it on the Vespa?
Maybe the bolts and the spark plugs for that metal taste.
I really want it to have
He's done
a bit
this.
of coppery overtones.
Heston's done all this. You know, like maybe what they should have done is make a dish and then have them rev the engine of the Vespa just next to the dish so you get the pollution smell at the same time. So it's a story about our world in crisis and the fact that our fresh, bountiful gardens are being ruined by CO2 emissions from vehicles. Like a Heston story.
I would have made a little carrot that had like a crazy wig on it, right? And then like a little dude in like a car thing, like made out of like eggplants or some shit. Then did an egg net. And then put the fiery petrol smell. I'm like, it's beyond Thunderdome as a dish. and then break out the little carrot Tina Turner.
I would have... See, by this point of the competition and the way the judging's been going, once they undermined me, I would have gone out to the garden, grabbed 3 eggplants, and put them on the plate. What's that?
On soil.
What's that? The judges.
And served it with a mallet. So he's going boom, boom, boom.
3 eggplants. Everyone who's ever seen an eggplant emoji knows what they're used for. and again, on a soil. Literally, the soil. There were so many options to fuck with them. The second the judges went, go forage. And then they were complaining about how little they had on the plate. They only had the fucking garden.
You know what I really, really don't hope happens is that someone accidentally, like, throws some, I don't know, belladonna seeds over the fence in the Masterchef
Suddenly
kitchen. Nightshades in play. And
what I want to see is catnip. Start swatting at the bench. What are you doing? I don't know. I can't stop playing with the shiny pans. Shiny pans.
George rolling around in it.
George with his tweezers. Just...
bashing it around. Rogue capsicum.
I've got it. They've all turned their ice cream churners on and they're just batting at the spinning device in the middle of the ice cream churner. Like it's a cat with one of those toy mice running around a circle. I got it. So, catnip kitchen.
Okay, so I just had a random idea, right? And it harkens back to one of our other podcasts we're talking about Operation. Why not make an electrified plate where all the things have to be twisted out without touching the sides? Like Operation. That would be fun.
Can we actually do that, but have it be 64,000 volts? And get Colin Barris to try it.
With his shaky hands.
Fuck
up. Oh, but that would be a cool restaurant thing. Okay, someone needs to do that.
That would be awesome.
Amuse-bouche in an Operation style.
No, I think that would be absolutely perfect, and I would love to see it happen.
And if you buzz it, you're not allowed to eat it. Like, you can only pull it out when you haven't buzzed it. No soup for you.
So Khanh wins, and and look, Khanh deserved to win that.
He's like going, those rosella flowers are an amazing colour to them. I want to see if I can do something with that.
Purple. Oh my god, that purple meringue.
Beautiful.
That purple meringue was insane.
And
Brandon pointed out that he wanted him to do the pride flag in meringue.
Oh,
that would be so cool.
Or he could do with the purple. He could do the trans flag. No, that's blue, white, and pink.
Yeah.
Bi flag is
do all sorts.
Blue, pink, and purple.
They can do all of them.
Do all the flags. Okay, so he runs around and he's like, I want to get this, I want to get that. And he goes pelting into the kitchen and he's squeezing lemons. He's like, I'm going to do a sorbet. And I'm like, dessert, I like this. I like where it's going. And I'm like, good on him. He's like, here's an opportunity for me. There's something on the line, but it's not elimination.
Yep.
I'm going to expand. I'm going to try something outside of my bag of tricks.
Khan's getting better at that now, of just going, you know what, fuck it, I want to try this and I want to try this. And the confidence, as I said, they gave him a big confidence hit the other day, but the confidence he's got from the other night as well, where he's just on fire. And again, the mushroom dish that he did for Shannon Bennett, that was really good. And that again shows what depth. And again, Khanh is at the point of the competition where you want to see somebody who has shown growth and development.
And knowledge and skills
and everything's improving
as well.
Yeah, Khanh is doing that.
Yeah.
He's kind of timing his run a little bit like Elena.
Yes.
It reminds me a lot of the way Elena came on.
Don't jinx him.
I'm not going to jinx him, but that's what his time at Roman.
However, something that didn't happen last night. Remember Sunday night? Oh, you're going to be in my restaurant tomorrow night serving at Vue de Monde. It was on the fucking gantry.
Yeah, I think he did it actually tonight. Like last night. I think it was actual last night.
Oh.
Because they fucked with everyone. Anyway, so then we get to the last part of this fucking episode. And it was a good look. It was a good episode, but the season is going on forever.
You know what?
Stars and Stripes forever. Hopefully not forever.
The thing I found tonight, right, is that it's a little like when the cool kids, oh my God, do you know my friend Johnny? Johnny's really cool. He has a motorbike. You got to meet my friend Johnny. And anyway, Johnny walks in through the door, and his name is Matt and Reynolds. And the judges were just so excited to see them. Like, you could just see the joy on their faces. It just seems like they're not happy. Like, it just, when you see honest to God enjoyment on the judges' faces, you can see how unimpressed they are generally.
Oh yeah, it's kind of, we said everyone looks tired. Everybody, like, they keep talking about the 10 years, and I think it's starting to show.
Yep.
A little bit. So what they decide to do is we're going to then have him cook off against two former favourites, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to do it how they did it.
Yes.
Matt Sinclair and Reynolds.
He's like Cher.
He has a fucking last name.
Does he?
Yep.
Is it Reynolds?
Ponomo. It's not hard.
It's not
right.
hard.
So it's either got to be full names or first names. You don't, one of them goes with one and one goes with a... It's fuck off. Just fuck off. So they come in, Jess up on the gantry, before they even announce who the hell it is.
Is it Reynolds?
Is it Reynolds? Is it Reynolds? And if I'm Peter Gilmore watching this at home, going, I'm going to sit down and watch some Masterchef. I like Jess. We get on really well. She loves me. I'm her food idol. Turn it on. Heartbreaking. As Reynolds walks in and Jess is just about jumping off the gantry.
Her ovaries are exploding. Her mother is in the background going, flirt with him, come home with a boyfriend.
Bring home a dessert, chef. So you ended up with Reynolds and Matt. I'll just go with first names. Reynolds and Matt. And
whose dream was a food truck, but now he has a restaurant.
They're in a restaurant in Queensland. So they come back into the kitchen. Khanh has to pick desserts and Reynolds or savoury and Matt. He made the choice that everybody in their right mind would have made, which was savoury and Matt.
Yes.
I would have made that choice too. That was perfect.
Unless you're Jess, you're going with Matt.
However, a lot of people suggesting online that what Khanh was actually doing was doing Jess a solid.
Yeah, he's like, I got your back, girl. I may not win this, but I wasn't going to win it against Reynolds.
Because then they went Reynolds to the gantry. And Jess just turned a shade of red that we haven't seen.
She turned like
since
the
a Matt Preston
flowers.
cravat.
Yes.
And she's just this bright shade of red and hiding. And they're like, and George was trying to really delicately phrase it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's your culinary crush. It's a bit more than a culinary crush, George.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I think it's a thirst
a lot more
for the ages.
There was a thirst going on, and good on her. Like, he's a lovely young man.
He had a nice butt walking up that gantry. I'm not a butt person, but it was just popping out behind his apron. I don't know if it's the jeans or he's got implants or he's padding. Like he's doing a bit of
implants. Yeah. So you're thinking all of the money from Koi is going into butt implants?
I'm not one to judge, but he's got a nice butt.
And it was. Everyone on Twitter pointed out tonight. It was kind of a good thing with Matt being in there. That Brendan Pang was no longer around. Because it was almost like he was the Cobram assassin.
The king of Cobram.
Sent to kill Brendan. We tried. We failed. We're sending our best. So they each had to cook a savoury dish then. Khanh got to produce his mushrooms.
Yes.
Sure. Something that was quite intriguing, though. I thought it was really nice, and Victoria pointed this out on Twitter as well. Sashi and Matt. Now, when Sashi interacted with Matt about the curry and stuff like that, rather than doing what most people do off the gantry and yelling and just telling him what to do, Sashi asked questions.
Yeah. Oh, are you making a laksa?
What are you doing with that paste? What are you using in those? What's your mix? And it was a good back and forth. That's notes for people on the gantry. That's how you interact.
No, it was cool.
Not, oi, watch your fish. It'll burn. You
don't want overcooked fish.
That's really bad. We've been conditioned to know that overcooked fish is horrible. So there wasn't much to the actual cook itself. They both did a really good job. There was no major drama apart from Shannon going, don't make it a parcel, and Khanh going, okay, good call. Like they tried to build it up because Khanh walks past him, goes, I'm going to do this, and walks, and Shannon goes, great, but I don't like the parcel. And they showed
I don't want it to be dim sum gone wrong.
And they showed Khan's face, and Khan's looked at him and went, yeah, no, okay, that's fair call. And kept walking. And it's like, well, there was your drama point. There was no drama point.
I would like to know that, though. Has anyone ever had dim sum gone wrong?
No.
Even bad dim sum is usually there's usually something redeeming in it.
So we had... Khanh did the fish.
Yes.
The Red Emperor. Mm-hmm. Looked really good. The judges really liked it.
Yep.
8s across the board. However...
Matt RuPaul'd the shit out of this tonight.
Matt served an amazing dish. It looked really fucking good.
That broth or soup.
Yeah. Oh. He did everything that the judges love. He did the squid and the sausage. The mixture was amazing. Yeah. I'm looking at that going, I could do that right now. I really could. And I thought at the end, they all gave him straight 10s. And I said, part of him in his head's going, now you fucking choose to give me 10s.
Remember 2 years ago?
You could have done this when I was competing.
Yeah.
That would have helped. So Matt wins. So Khanh doesn't...
Tens across the board.
Khanh doesn't win, the power through. But think about it. All you got to do is survive another 2 challenges and you're there anyway. So it's not really that much of a fast forward. One more thing before we go.
Yes.
We have one late entrant. One late entrant. So Austenite has a late entrance into the Matt Preston style reviews.
Okay.
In the year of surprises, the biggest surprise, Austenite returned interviewing Masterchef. A season awash with terrible puns, no-name chefs punctuated with the ethereal presence of Goddess Nigella and the Titan Gordon Ramsay. Would definitely have liked more Dame Maggie Beer. It's a fair sentiment. It's an absolutely fair sentiment. So, thankfully, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end of this.
Yes, we know that Survivor's starting on the 1st of August, and we know we'll be over and done with by then.
Yes, so we're almost there. We've got tomorrow night is the big service challenge they do in a massive kitchen with the pressure on, and everyone gets a fast forward if they win, which is code for you just don't go to elimination. That's it. That's all it is. And then they'll send one of them home, and Ben will no doubt escape again and
Teflon
be
Ben.
there again in the last week.
Mm-hmm. Watch Khanh go home to Thursday.
Yeah, don't.
Watch Khanh go home and watch me switch off.
My heart can't go. We have to finish the season. Khanh has to stay to the end. He has to. Otherwise, I'm doing this show solo, and nobody listening wants this show to be solo.
My heart is already dead after Samira. I just don't have the tears.
We're going to miss Samira. We're really going to miss Samira.
But she has her Sam's Kitchen now. She's got a Facebook page.
So we shared on Facebook, and again, the competition for the giveaway, for the gift, is still there, of the apron signed by Ben Ungerman. It's still on there. So if you go to our Facebook, the Washing Up, you'll find all of those information. All that information. You'll also find links to Samira's Facebook page and Mama Jo. Oh,
yeah, she's got her page up.
And there's some really nice photos of her food already. I'm quite impressed. Mm-hmm. And there's also maybe a tweet that I put out tonight. There's some Twitter account called Food Nerd VP that apparently is tweeting stuff. I don't know what that could possibly be.
I don't know. It sounds like the Food Nerd
Vanity Project.
Yeah, Food Nerd Vanity Project. Yes, you put the words into my mouth.
If you go back through our feed, you will find a couple of episodes of the first series of Food Nerd Vanity Project with myself and Fee Newen from Bake Off. Season 2 will be coming up after MasterChef. It'll be myself and mystery person
Robert Harwood.
Thank you for that. Myself and Robert from Bake Off will be doing season 2, and I'll even give you the heads up. We're going to be starting off by talking Ugly Delicious.
Yeah, keep an eye on my Twitter feed. I'll just be bringing you Preston the Bush Turkey updates.
Preston the Bush Turkey updates. And look, let's face it, this podcast, if Khanh goes home, will just be Preston the Bush Turkey updates.
High drama today with Preston.
Yep.
I was just coming back from lunch, looked over to his, because I heard a bit of scratching, and oh my God, he had a fucking flock of pigeons in his prime scratching area. Not on. Preston was trying to shoo these little fucks, right? And they have got no fucks to give. So Preston just went and sat himself down amongst them and let his displeasure be known. Just staring at them.
So it's much like Matt Preston in judging. He just sat there in the middle of those two fucks and let his displeasure be known in a very verbose and overwritten way.
Yes.
And with that bow put on the episode, I'm still Chris.
I'm still Kristie.
And we'll see you all on Thursday night.
And I'm now wishing you a gentle farewell into the night across rolling meadows and blooming flowers and